All right, everybody. Welcome back to From the Ashes podcast. I'm your host, Valerie Beck, and today is a very special day because the person I'm bringing on to the podcast to guest with us is Tiffany Gozali. She is one of my clients, and I think she's the first client I've ever brought on the podcast. So today is indeed a very special day. And Tiffany, just to give a little bit of background, she's a program director for a joy-centered professional organizing community, but she also is a small business owner. She runs Shadow Light Crystals, and she has gone through quite the journey with me, coming to me from feeling the slowdown of age and the slowing down of energy to some remarkable things, bodybuilding, dancing, and trying new things. So she should be super proud of herself for all of the work that she's put in and the investments that she's made. And we're going to talk a little bit about her journey with me, working with me through our program Club Phoenix. And we're also going to explore some of the real behind the scenes uh, behind the transformation that Tiffany has gone through. So, welcome, Tiffany.
Hi, Valerie. Glad to be here.
Yay. All right. So, let's start from the beginning of this journey. And to give a little bit of context, I've actually known Tiffany for a long time. I think almost 11 years at this rate.
Oh my gosh, time flies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've known you before you've even decided to make any kind of changes. And you've watched me. So the first question I want to ask is like, what were you going through when you decided you're like, yes, I want to work with Valerie? Like, what was the kikake? What is like
Yeah.
the impetus for that? Yeah.
Yeah. No, it came at a time when I realized that my mind, body, and spirit were in just misalignment. So really it started in 2024. I went on this retreat with my company and came back and just I wanted more with my life. I was kind of at an all-time low energetically in terms of my health and my well-being. So I was tired all the time. My weight was actually at an all-time high too. I wasn't moving a lot. I just felt really dragged down. And I remember at that time deciding that it was time for me to commit and kind of reach out to experts who could help me kind of get out of this rut and discover myself and align my mind, body, and spirit in a way that I realized I just had to achieve in order to keep growing and keep moving forward in my life. And I thought of you because I have known you for 11 years and I've seen you grow and change and embrace the uncomfortable and be very vocal about these different chapters of your life that you have. And I knew that you had started a club called Club Phoenix too. And you were talking on Instagram. I remember I had followed you and you're talking about burnout and what that does to you. And just expanding the conversation too about what it means to rise from the ashes as well. And that really resonated with me, just seeing you really walk the walk too. So I reached out to you and talk to you a little bit about Club Phoenix and how that might fit in my journey. And it seemed like a great fit. And so I joined.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you decided to. I
Yeah.
want to ask, um, because I think a lot of people wait a long time before they decide to take action,
Hmm.
right? Probably a little longer than you'd want to wait. And it is really hard to commit to change. So, like, was there any kind of breaking point? What did you feel in your body that was not right? Or maybe in your mind that was not, it was like, this, I can't tolerate this anymore.
Yeah. It was, well, I describe it as a dissonance. So it's almost like I was living in this body that didn't quite feel like it was mine anymore. And then also, I knew there were just parts of my life that could be enriched if I just understood, like, what do I stand for? Who am I even? Because there's a lot of times when we say, who am I? And you say, I am, and insert what you do here, your
Mm.
job or your position. And that it's part of who I am, but it's not my essence or my core. So, I just wasn't sure what to do about that. Yeah. And that's kind of like when I reached out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I, from what I know about you over the years, it's like I feel like you're really open to trying new things. That's one of the great things about you. And when you started Club Phoenix, that's when we went on that the club hike. And
Ah,
I
yes.
I love to highlight that moment because how far you've come since that hike has been just crazy. So just to give people a picture, like we all went on this hike in Palos Verdes, and there was this point where like we went down to the like down the cliff to the shore, and Tiffany didn't come with us. And I think the Tiffany of today would be like the first person in the front of the
Yeah.
pack, right? Would you say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
What
remember
was,
that moment
yeah,
actually.
yeah. Can you describe that? Like, what was it going through your mind at the time?
Yeah, that was a big moment for me in a lot of ways because it was the first time that I had met with other members of Club Phoenix in person. So I was really excited, but also nervous. I wasn't used to showing up as myself either. So like there are a lot of behind the scenes moments that I had at Club Phoenix actually, that it's been kind of me embracing and moving forward through this discomfort of just being in my own skin. Yeah. So that was like just the perfect representation of where I was at that moment, which was just feeling uncomfortable, but ready to commit to myself and show myself that I can do it. And then we got to the cliff and I was like, I can't do it. Oh, and I was really bummed out because like everybody kind of, you walk down this cliff and my first thought was, I'm afraid of getting hurt.
Hmm.
And that's a huge kind of limiting belief that I have is that I might get hurt in whatever I'm doing. So I'm working a lot on that even today. I didn't go down and I was up at the top of the cliff while the rest of you were down there and thinking like, "Oh man, this is kind of where I'm at right now in a nutshell. How do I feel about this?" And I chose in that moment actually to just meditate on the sounds of the ocean. And I remember it was so beautiful and I was just thinking as well, I felt a little disappointment in myself, but I remember having a feeling in that moment that was like, next time I'm going down. This
Mm.
is me today, but I know that I'm on the right path and I just need to trust that this is part of my journey and I'll be stronger tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was actually pretty profound and it happened the way I think it had to happen.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it just shows how ready you were that like that wasn't a breaking point for you in terms of just like, oh, it's time to give up, but it's actually a time to grow. It's time to move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. After that, right, as a coach, I guide, but what I can't do is do the actions for you, right? Like I can't go out to the
Mhm.
gym for you. I can't make you
Yeah.
fast. I can't make you do any of these things. What was the process like for you in terms of integrating all of these new habits? Like, did you have any resistances at first, and how did you overcome those?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's a really good point because I credit a lot of my change, and my whole life has changed for the better, by the way. I have so much gratitude for the work that we're doing in Club Phoenix. And then I'm doing a lot of work with a trainer in the gym too. And at the end of the day, it is something where I've got the support, but I have to budget my energy for me. And that's been the big thing for me is just remembering that I'm doing this for a reason. I have infinite amounts of energy inside, right? This is something I've come to realize. But at the moment, too, I said, hey, I'm setting aside the energy to commit to this detox. That's why I invested in Club Phoenix. That's why I'm investing this time in it. And now I got to invest the energy in it, too. So that was like the big step for me. And it got me through a lot of tough moments because there were times in the beginning too where I thought, this doesn't feel like who I am right now, but I'm here, I'm showing up, and I'm gonna show up 100%. That's the best I could do today, and I'm gonna do it. And that's a commitment to myself that I made that I keep making, and it has really slowly changed how I look at and how I approach everything, actually.
Yeah. Um, Ooh, there's a lot that I want to dig into. Can you illustrate? So, when we talk about coaching, we talk about getting a person from like an A to B, right? So like where you
Yeah.
started off and where you ended up, and you just like, you've transformed in your ways that you never thought would happen. So
Yeah.
what can you illustrate that for us? Like, what is that transformation?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's been just so much change. It's almost hard to encapsulate. Um, but one thing that I worked on with you, and that was a big first step for me, is finding my voice and being able to talk to other people about where I'm at mentally. And it really is kind of, I break it down into mind, body, spirit a lot. So, mentally, I was getting down on myself all the time in the beginning, saying I can't do things or I was afraid of getting hurt and telling myself that I'm not the kind of person who X. So I had a lot of thoughts before joining Club Phoenix and going through this transformation that I'm not the kind of person who goes to the beach, even. I'm not the kind of person who hikes. And it's just simply not true, right? We can decide who we are and who we want to be and where we're going. So in the beginning, I had a lot of struggles, I think, and you can even call that struggles with self-worth, I think,
Mm-hmm.
or mind. And then spiritually as well, understanding what I stand for, what I believe in, and aligning that with my actions. I, in the beginning, I have always had strong convictions that everyone can inspire and be inspired. Everyone deserves the right to experience joy, and that it is a process as well to kind of cultivate gratitude and cultivate that mindset. But I think when it came to living it, I just wasn't doing the thing quite yet. So spiritually too, I knew a few pieces of what I stood for, but I hadn't integrated it as well into my life as I do now. And then in terms of body habits, I was kind of a passenger in my own physicality, if that makes sense. So like I was eating passively and mindlessly, um, and not really aware even of little things like how much water I was drinking every day. I was going to bed whenever I felt like it, which was often really, really late. And then that just started my whole next day off wrong. And of course, I was also not moving. And it's all connected, right? So my
Yeah.
point A really was a position where I felt like I couldn't do things. I didn't know why. I couldn't articulate it, and I didn't have the energy. I felt like I don't have the energy for this, and maybe that's just the type of person I am.
Mm,
So that's where I started.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen you through your bodybuilding transformation. I do want to ask you a little bit about that, right? Because how did it go from eating passively, not moving, to like right, seven unassisted pull-ups and like, you know,
Yeah.
jump roping and going to dance class? Like, w- how did that happen?
Yeah. It's a total 180. And when I look at it, it honestly still kind of um almost overwhelms me like with emotion because I get emotional thinking about it because I'm living a life that I literally told myself I couldn't have a year ago. So I do believe that in Club Phoenix and with you, I set the foundation. And I think that was really important was like getting my mindset in place for understanding nutrition better, understanding the role of kind of holistic health too. We talked a lot when I first started about habits. I did my first detox with you, and I always say that first detox was a game changer because it made me aware of how much I was snacking for one. I wanted to be more mindful in my life. So the mindless snacking, I didn't realize I was doing. And I also straightened up my sleep habits, which changed a lot. And through this, I think the 180 really happened for a couple of reasons. One, when I started working out more, and a lot of this too, I owe to my personal trainer. His name is Eric Chan, and he changed my life, or he helped me change my life because a lot like you, he believed in me before I necessarily believed in myself.
Mhm.
So I came into the gym and I started working out with him. And I had that foundation of mindset, right?
Yeah.
That I was working with you on. Like I'm trying to reframe who I think I am and be open to redefining myself. And I was also sleeping better already and understanding how food can give me energy. And then this missing piece of working out, pushing your limit, moving past that limit and discovering that you're stronger than you thought, and then having that give you energy. For me, I got addicted to feeling like I have energy. And that was something that I had never experienced before in my entire life. So I wanted more. And I had to be patient with myself as well, right? Because,
Mhm.
point A to point B, now that I'm in a place where you can physically see the transformation, right? And yeah, like I'm doing 7 pull-ups. I had told Eric in the beginning, my bucket list item was to do one.
Mhm.
That was it.
Yeah.
So we were working on that for quite a while. I had to be patient, but the process was giving me energy. I
Yeah.
found that I didn't have to take as many naps throughout the day, for example. And I started to want to do things that previously I felt like I had to do because I was stacking habits, remembering my why, and showing up no matter what. Even if I didn't feel like it was still important to me. And every day was another step forward. And the big thing is that as my body changed, my mind was changing too.
Yeah.
So now it's opened the door and it's made me want to try dance and try I tried trapeze, Valerie.
I saw that.
That was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
I never in a million years thought I would try to like do trapeze, but I did. And it's because of all these different steps that I've taken along the way that have changed who I am.
Yeah. And I can't wait to see like what happens now in the next year, right? Oh,
Yeah.
gonna be crazy. So let's shift over to this the idea of collaborative intelligence, because I designed Club Phoenix to be a group experience. I didn't design it to be like a one-on-one, even though we have that component now.
Mhm.
It started off really with people in a room together, doing this growth work together. So my question to you is like, what has made this the group mentorship experience different from, let's say, doing like a one-on-one coaching, which you also do?
Mm,
Yeah.
that's a great question. Yeah, absolutely. So for me, and this is it's a principle, it's a value, and we're actually looking into my values together on the Vibrant Visionary plan.
Yeah.
Um, People are meant to connect to each other. And I've seen time and time again that when people connect, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And I often think there's a lot of magic actually involved in connection. And so for me, the group setting versus the one-on-one coach setting, having both has been so, so helpful because it made me feel less alone on my journey. It helped me cultivate the courage to be myself
Yeah.
around a group of people. And knowing that it also is a safe space where everyone else was committed to growth too, that made a huge difference for me, a huge difference. So I think it's all about the support, but also just knowing that we're stronger together.
Yeah. I think what you just said about also like being comfortable showing up as yourself, because you're not the only one who is struggling with that. And one of the activities that we did early on in the experience was this thing called True You, where we all had to tell our stories. And at the time when I was thinking about this activity, because I live this was my first year doing Club Phoenix, and I was like, what am I trying to get them to do? But you all pretty much received the memo, as they say, right? It wasn't just talking about like everything you've accomplished or like, just a list of achievements. It was really about looking at how has our life journey shaped who we are, and can we allow other people to see that?
Mm,
Yeah.
that was pivotal.
Yeah.
Yeah. That particular, I remember that when you said we're going to go into True You. I was so scared, actually. And I had a lot of fear in that first couple of months. Yeah, I don't even know if I've shared this with you, but like there were times when I was so scared just to talk about how I felt about things that I would cry afterward and have to just think about like where are these feelings coming from? Oh, they're coming from fear of being seen.
Hmm.
So having the opportunity to really share true you, share what's at our core and be really honest with one another. That was Yeah, actually, that was the first time I've ever shared so much about myself and who I am and what makes me me, in terms not only of the good, but also the bad and the ugly, all
Yeah.
of it. We're holistic people, so everything, or we all kind of have this like lived experience that makes us who we are. So having that opportunity to share was one of the scariest things I think I've ever done. But after that, that was a huge turning point for me where I
Yeah.
became so much comfortable with myself even.
Yeah. I'm actually looking back at all of the stories. I think everyone had a very similar experience.
Mhm.
Like you can't really go back and hide again the same way once you've done something like that. Um,
Yeah.
Nor do I feel like, yeah, I feel like that's a huge, just it's a release almost. So how would you say you approach things differently now that you've been able to do that?
I think that being able to do that, that was a level, by the way, where I was able to do that because I was in Club Phoenix, right? So I think that you had set it up so that we were doing kind of different activities leading up to the big share where we share like our story.
Mhm.
And then knowing that everyone else was sharing theirs together and being able to feel like compassion, empathy, understanding with them too made a huge difference. So I'll say that I don't share to that level in my everyday life, but knowing that I did gave me a level of confidence where I feel like across the board, I'm showing up more as myself and I'm showing up with a greater level of confidence of just feeling again at home in my body and at home with who I am because of doing that. So it really did change things in terms of just across the board, how I can show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in a similar vein in Club Phoenix, there's something I always talk about, which is like kind of playing at your edge, right?
Yeah.
Like we're always trying to grow. And that's one of your core values, I think, too, is like this perseverance and growth and the mindset of always growing, always improving.
Yeah.
Um, where would you say you are currently pushing your edge?
Yeah. It's kind of interesting because this year we got started on a whole new level, right?
Yeah.
Vibrant Visionary.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm playing with my edge. So that last year, I think, was all about rediscovering my voice and setting a foundation. This year has been all about activating. I feel like I'm activating in a lot of ways. And my next step where I'm pushing at the edge is expanding. So it's really important to me that everyone be growing. And I've come to understand too that everyone has a message, but it's not just that. I've thought a lot. What is my message? What is my message? And I realized that I am the message. You are the message for yourself. We all embody what we stand for. And it's a matter of how we show up in the world too, in a way that people can resonate with that, feel inspired by it, and then maybe even grow and come into their own self-actualization or their own mission by virtue of seeing you live yours. So
Yeah.
for me, my edge is discovering what that is. And that's why I'm working with you right now too with Vibrant Visionary, because that's all about taking the time and investing, again, investing the time, the energy, and the budget in discovering that next step and really solidifying it.
Yes. Before we talk about budget, because we are going to dive into that,
Yeah.
I want to dig into your personal vision a little bit because I have my vision, right? I
Yeah.
believe that if we all were to self-actualize or at least be on the journey and make the effort to do that. And if we all were able to tap into our authentic self-expression in a way where we show up unapologetically ourselves, the world would be a better place. And the
Mm,
reason that I believe that is because we all have these unique gifts and things that we can offer as our individual selves. And if we were able to accept ourselves, then that becomes accessible to us.
mhm.
And it doesn't mean that we all have to soar to like these crazy heights or like achieve all of these things that like society tells us are successful, but really grounding in what is successful to you.
Yeah.
And that can be so different from person to person. So that's my belief. And you're standing in this, I am the message, right? So
Yeah.
like each and every person has can embody their own message. What's that vision? What does that vision look like in terms of collective or like world building?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So here's where I'm at so far. And I
Okay.
do what I love about working with you on this too is that it evolves. It
Yeah.
evolves and I have different discoveries and along the way that contribute to where I'm going, I think, in a way I don't understand in the moment.
Yeah.
So where I'm at right now, and I'm not sure where it's going yet, to be honest. I'm feeling like it all ladders up to integrity. I've come to understand that perseverance as something that you can kind of take action on. You persevere through things.
Yeah.
When you get through challenge, you become stronger as a result. That to me though is a part of living in alignment with what you believe in. And I think also on a larger scale, if we're all living with integrity, right? If we're all aligned and we're all able to express that, and it's almost a gift that we're giving to our communities in the world, it causes a ripple effect that will help us all collectively grow together. It almost like it's a little bit woo, but it raises the vibe, right?
Yes.
So I love thinking about this is something too that I've been working on in kind of my adventures in spirituality is just thinking as well about my impact being part of a greater whole. And so if we all understand that too, it feels like it feels right. It feels like something big.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it feels meaningful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about this very, very important piece. And I was actually really glad that you brought it up the other day. Investing, right? And the use of resources, money,
Yeah.
time, etc. It's Club Phoenix and the Vibrant Visionary are investments. Personal training is an investment. I want to
Yeah.
hear your perspective and has that changed over time since you started?
Yeah. It has changed and it hasn't changed. And actually, I think that the shift in mindset that I have in terms of allocating your resources, and I think I mentioned before the big three. There's time, there's energy, and then there's money. There's your budget. And for me, something that hasn't changed is that you have to make a decision that you're going to make that effort to do it. So when I first started, let's get like really specific about budget because I think I even hear this a lot when I tell people about my personal training journey, right? I started with my personal trainer and we were working out once a week and I've managed to prioritize and find budget and actually save money in my budget in other areas. And now I work with him 3 days a week, right?
Hmm.
And for working with you as well, it is an investment. It's an investment to get a coach. And right up until the time that I made a decision to go for it, I told myself I don't have the money.
Mm,
You either have it or you don't have it. That's kind of a passive thought. And when I decided I want to invest in professionals who can help me get to my goals faster and help me articulate what my goals even are, I said, okay, I feel like I don't have budget for this, but let's take a look at the budget. And so when I looked at my finances, I always break them down into necessities, things like rent, utilities, right? And then
Hmm.
you've got kind of your savings or paying down debt or investing in like your retirement fund, things like that.
Yeah.
Then there's a third category that we all have, and that's kind of like the budget that we allocate to the things that aren't necessary but are fun. I call it the fun budget. You could call it the going out budget. But within that budget, I took a hard look at it and I asked myself, is this budget working for me? Or is this more of like kind of like the snacking? Am I mindlessly going through the motions in certain
Hmm.
areas? And can I take a piece of what I'm doing there and reallocate it into something I called a GPS budget, which I got to come up with another name for it because I don't think anyone of a certain generation knows what a GPS even is anymore. But it's almost like a navigator,
Yeah.
right? And I wanted to very intentionally move part of my budget into this GPS budget so I could work with experts. And so, I looked, how much am I shopping? I was buying new outfits regularly, right? I was going to Sephora quite a bit, right? Doing the retail therapy, which I kind of discovered along the way is self-soothing, and self-care and self-soothing are different. So now actually I have really shrunk my budget in the self-soothing category, which opened up a whole new door. That's why I can work with you on Vibrant Visionary. That's why I can work with my trainer as much as I do. Um, so I reduced what wasn't needed and put it into an area where I knew I was ready to also allocate time and energy and really impact my life and create lasting change. So, yeah, it wasn't comfortable at first, I would say too. And that's an important thing is like I used to get takeout all the time. It was very convenient. It was not good for me and it was very expensive. And reducing that felt different, but I knew why I was doing it. And that's
Yeah.
what kind of got me to the next step. And now it feels normal.
Yeah. And so it's really interesting. This is from the audience because, like, I've always been fairly meticulous and in terms of like not spending uh, on things to just, for the sake of doing it because I've always worked with tight budgets. But
Mm.
and so I wasn't conscious of like where are people spending their money? Right? Like in terms of if they're not spending on coaching, what are they spending it on?
Yeah.
And so like when you told me about that, I was actually really surprised how much money people are spending on things like makeup and perfume and clothes and books, right? And you those are all things that you were spending on. Do you know roughly how much that was costing you a month?
It was costing me a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
quite a bit. So I look at the takeout, I think, as the big item. I was ordering takeout almost daily, right? So I had the DoorDash subscription. I would get DoorDash all the time. I would go out to restaurants all the time. And when I took a look at it, I also, by the way, had those food box subscriptions. So
Mm.
I was a member of HelloFresh, and for a while I was doing Splendid Spoon, where they send you smoothies and soups and things for yourself. I tried Butcher Box for a little while and was also buying groceries. So again, a lot of mindless spending for me was happening around food. And when I broke it down, I was spending well over, I would say, 300 or more a week
Yeah. On
on
food.
takeout, on food. Yep. Food
Yeah.
subscriptions or, yep, takeout, going to restaurants. So that was considerable for me.
Yeah. And now that you're bodybuilding, right, and you're being a lot more specific now about what you consume.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's actually where, I would say that in terms of my GPS budget, my personal trainer, not everybody wants or needs a trainer 3 days a week, but I am getting into bodybuilding and now it's something I'm pursuing as a sport too.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy, but it's almost like time. When I shifted my mindset about time too, and I said, I don't have time,
Mm.
I make time. So
Mm.
now it's not a passive thing, it's an active thing. It's almost like instead of thinking about what you have to get rid of. You think about what you want to keep, whether it's in whether it's in your kind of nutrition habits or even in your home, right? So
Yeah.
I said, I have this budget allocated for food, but I want to become stronger and I want to get more intentional too about my eating habits. And it's to the point now where I actually almost never get takeout because as a habit, it's just not something I do anymore. And I meal prep a lot. I'm cooking at home. It's giving me more energy and I've saved so much money that I've increased my training and I'm actually like saving money even every month just because of these new habits that the training has brought to my life.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
so here's the other part of investment, right? Because it's not just like this money goes somewhere and then you don't get anything back.
Yeah.
When we're making investments, it's actually in the mindset that this is going to help us expand, whether that be in material or in other places, right? Spiritual,
Yeah.
mental, physical, whatever. Um, where have you seen it come back to you more than you were expecting?
I think for me, the biggest thing is in my energy. My life now is more full than I could ever have asked for or imagined. And that I feel an abundance of time, actually. I do so much now. Yeah. It's just so exciting. And again, it's like even with my actual like budget too, I'm putting it toward activities that are enriching
Yeah.
me. And it's almost like I'm seeing life in color. And I love that. And it comes across in everything too. Like in my work, I'm flourishing, I'm thriving,
Yeah.
I'm doing well. So it's literally and metaphorically paying dividends.
And I just want
Yeah.
to say how huge that is because when Tiffany first started with me, one of her biggest, like, I would say blocks was her relationship with time.
Mm.
I remember you like specifically very challenged about like making time for things and having enough time, right?
It's so funny you mentioned that because it's so different now that I almost forgot until you just mentioned it that I even had I can't believe I felt like I didn't have time then. With how much I do now, it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. What a shift, right? What are you most excited about for the future? And how has your vision for your life expanded?
Yeah. I'm excited to see the version of myself in another year or 2 or 5 years. I have such excitement for my future now. And I credit that, a lot of that to you and to my other coaches who are helping me discover my strength and my vitality more than I ever have. So, I used to live with a lot more worry, and now I feel like I am living with more abundance and joy, and of course, gratitude too. So, just excited for where the future takes me, knowing that a year ago, I only dreamed about where I would be now. So,
Yeah.
what I want to do is I want to keep getting stronger. I want to keep sharing my journey with others too. So I'm grateful even for this opportunity because, again, we all have these gifts, we all have these experiences within us. And I feel like it not only helps us, but it helps our community and even the world when we share it.
Yeah.
So for me, that's the big thing that I'm going to be doing next and that I'm working on is expanding, getting that message out there, however that manifests.
Yeah. And something
Yeah.
that I want to really say to you, Tiffany, is that since you've started this, your energy has become so much more magnetic.
Mm.
And that's a huge testament to the work for me, is that like I feel drawn into you.
Oh, thank you.
Right? Like that I, yeah, I can see your leadership growing in a way, like, and in ways that like I could look up to you for certain things, and I think that's awesome. Like I just think that's so awesome that there can also just this can grow in a way where, because you have such sense of self now and you have such sense of mission, like it this is the work of the ripple effect. And then it
Mm,
becomes a lot more just like symbiotic too.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So for somebody who you would say is on the fence to making this big change, to taking the big step to like changing their life, do you have any words you want to leave with people who are like, I want to change my life, I want to be healthier, I don't know if I can do it.
Yeah. I would say that the biggest thing is to shift that mindset again from passive, either you have it or you don't, to active. What can I do to make this happen? So it might be carving out time to do something. It might be investing energy in that thing that lights you up or that thing that you really need to grow. Or again, reallocating budget. Take a realistic look at things that you want and things that could help you in the long term, right? Is it helping you just today or is it helping you become a better version of yourself? And then taking those proactive steps to be a driver, right, in your own life. And sometimes too, it's a matter of perseverance, like I mentioned. I think it's important to know that it's not always easy and you don't always want to do it. There were a lot of times when I just like didn't want to, but I considered it a non-negotiable for myself, and that's the shift.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm just so glad that you stuck it out. So
Thank
glad that
you.
you stuck it out.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for being with us today and for sharing your story. It's just always such a pleasure to work with you. Um, so Tiffany also mentioned the Vibrant Visionary. We are going to be launching officially the Vibrant Visionary Collective on January 1st of 2026, and we are welcoming new members. There are limited seats, so make sure that if this is something you want to do, if you want to take the jump to change your life, it's an incredible journey, and we're looking for people who are committed. We will help you though. It's like, you don't have to have it all together. You just have to have the desire to. So, uh, there is a link to book a free call. We'll have you set up for your Vibrant Vision session. And once we get that ball rolling, then we'll get you into the club. So, yeah. Any last words, Tiffany?
Oh, just gratitude. Thank you, Valerie. This has been incredible. And just working with you too, like I said, has been completely transformative. So I'm just so grateful for all that you do and that you're putting your message out there so that people like me can hear it and take action and thrive.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.